All right. Good afternoon, I guess. I'm going to go through a couple of mobility drills that I'd like you to start with for this thoracic mobility and improvement in your squat movement as well. We're going to start with these. If you get a little bit more advanced or get significant improvement, just let me know and we can make these a little bit more complicated. However, most people that are dealing with these issues, it takes a very long time to work on these, and in general, most, even the elite athletes that are super mobile can benefit from these, and they probably do these all the time. So really no improvement needs to be done on these throughout time. You're going to have some degree of difficulty with them at first. You're going to have some limitation of motion, and we'll talk about endpoints, where you're trying to work towards, and end goal in mind, trying to get that squat a little bit better and that middle back movement a lot better. So kind of impromptu. I have a list because there's about 8 things and I just didn't want to take the time to memorize them, so I'm going to be looking at this every once in a while. So first we're going to start working on the hips. These are 4 that I've been working on, and I'm just going to run through them real quick. So first thing, I think it's important to understand there's 2 things I'm seeing that are going on with you. Upper hip flexor mobility and, lower hip flexor mobility as well. And then just generalized hip rotation as you're going down to that squat form. So I'm going to give you 4 strategies to start to work on that. If you have any questions about them, let me know. Same thing with thoracic. We'll go over those right after I go over these. So first one on the list, goblet squats. Now, the regular goblet squats are held more up at a chest level, and then when you perform them, you obviously go down, elbows to the knees, and then come back up. This is going to be more for mobility, so a good way to practice thoracic stability as well as this hip mobilization is to cup the kettlebell down towards the bell of it. So I'm actually going to hold the bottom, and I'm going to already engage my thoracic region. I'm going to lock my shoulder blades down, and then I'm going to go more from a lower level. So when I get down here, what I'm going to do is try to press my hips forward, and I'm pushing my elbows out onto my thighs. So this is something that you can do one of 2 ways. If you're doing it as an accessory, you can just do repetitions, holding for 5 seconds, and of course with any accessory, most of the time you're just going to do these about 2 rounds of 10 reps. So nice and slow, really allow your hips to push forward when you're doing this. I'll show you from a side view. So I'm engaging my scapula, going down, and pushing my hips forward as I go in. Of course, I'm also working on this. That winking as well, but that's another story. We're just trying to get that hip mobility working a little bit better too. Next one, rig squats. I don't exactly have anything that I can do to simulate this, but I think you'll get the general idea. I'm going to try to use my heaviest kettlebell to support me as best as possible. But one strategy to open up the hips as well, it's almost similar to this goblet squat, but you're going to use the rig, and you're going to hold onto the rig and allow a little bit of support from it as you drag yourself down. You want to have your hips go straight downwards, and once you're into that position, you're going to do a gentle pull towards the rig, keeping your back as straight as possible, fighting that lean forward. That support's going to really help you to translate yourself downwards. So I guess I'll get into a downward position and see. Yeah, the kettlebell helps me a little bit. So as you can see, if I create a little bit of a pull, I can keep my back a little more upright than if I were to just go into a normal squat. You see the difference there. Okay. So once again, you could do 2 rounds of 10 with that, or you could do sustained holds after you work out for approximately 10 to 30 seconds, depending on how you strategize it. Next one we're going to do, if you do downward dogs already, or downward dog push-ups already for a warm-up, I'd suggest adding a little bit of a motion to it. So getting into the downward dog position is good for 2 things. It opens up the posterior chain as well as creating more thoracic mobility. So if you're not doing these, suggest start them. And then I'm also going to give you a little bit of an addition. Now, keep in mind, my form's not perfect on these yet, so I'm working on these as well. So I'm going to go into the position. The best, most ideal way to do these, actually I'm not doing too bad with these anymore. So head in line with the arms. Notice my body forms more or less a V, and then you see that tension into my hamstrings there. My knees are bent. So what I'm going to do when I'm in this position is actually do some marches. So I'm actually trying to press my heels towards the ground and alternating. And I'm just going to try to do about 10 to 15 of these on each leg, and you can do 2 rounds before your warm-up, or before your workout. Alright. And then the last one I had for this is what's called standing kneeling. I would do this one after a workout and see if you've improved on your mobility after the workout with it. You're going to get into a kneeling stance. So knees on the ground, and then your toes are going to be under your heels. What you're going to do from there, you're going to try to get into what's called a true kneeling pose. So I'm going to get my body as upright as possible. My hips are going to be in line with my shoulders. Now the trickiness with this comes from trying to line your pelvis as well as possible. And that's where you're really going to feel this. So how I do that is I'm going to engage my glutes, and what you're going to notice is my belt line is going to get straighter. So right about there, and then I'm going to bring my shoulders in line, and immediately my posterior chain starts to fire, and my anterior frame, or my quads, and my hip flexors are going to start to fire up in this position. So I can hold this for roughly 1 minute to 2 minutes. If you start to get shaky or start to get really tired, that lactic acid is building up, you can stop beforehand. You don't want to do this if it's creating any strain or pain. Now, you want to get yourself into a position where it almost feels like your body's going to pitch forward, but your hamstrings and your glutes are supporting you upright. So that's what's ideal. You're also going to feel that stretch in the front. So once again, you can hold that for 30 seconds to a minute. And there's some strategies to begin working on squat form for your hips. So now we'll go into thoracic mobility. So for that, I have 4 things to begin with. First thing is going to be just sideline rotations. So a few of these are going to be laying on the ground, and then we'll transition into more crawling positions. So sideline rotations are fairly simple. You're going to get down on your side, shoulder under you. You're going to get the top leg, you're going to have that go up into a 90-degree angle, as shown, as I'm doing right now. And then what you're going to do, one arm's going to go out in front. You're going to try to stack. So notice my chest and my shoulder in line. And then I'm going to get my other arm, the top arm, as far forward as I possibly can. You can actually shift it beyond that other hand on the floor. Now from here, what I'm going to do, keep that in that outreach position and just rotate as far as possible towards the opposite side of the floor. Notice on this video, I'm not able to get all the way down towards the floor. So there's some work for me to do. You're going to feel a big stretch through the front of your thoracic frame, so your pecs, your biceps, even your anterior shoulder might feel like it's getting a really good stretch. But you want to feel some activity in the back as well. So you're going to feel that you want to feel that activation of the shoulder blade trying to bring your arm down towards the floor. Good. And see, that second time around is actually able to get a little further. So slow repetitions of this, 5 to 10 seconds at that end point, and then just repeat them. Attempt to do this 5 to 10 times. You can do this prior to your workout. Next one's going to be using a roller. However, this could be performed in a number of ways. I prefer to use a little bit of weight. So you're going to use the roller more as the fulcrum to guide your middle back over to get some mobility through it. So without weight, cross your arms, you're almost in like a sit-up position. The roller is going to be at the lower middle back. And what I'm going to attempt to do, I'm going to engage my core so my lower back doesn't overextend as I'm doing this. So I'm engaging my core and really focusing on just my middle back rolling over the top of the roller. And then You can do 2 to 4 repetitions in one segment, and then you're going to bring the roller slightly upwards. Once again, trying to just get that middle back over the top of the roller. Now, I use weight because it just provides a little bit more mobility. So what you can do is get a small kettlebell, approximately 10 to 20 pounds. I like to hold the bell. And just get some mobility through there. Keep my core tight. Just get into some small ranges through that. Alright. Then the next one is going to be in a 4-point position. This is just called quadruped rotations. This is a fantastic mobility exercise for the middle back. You're going to notice a lot of limitation when you first start this. So I'll kind of describe what I'm doing as I do it. So we'll start in the side view. I'm going to start with my left arm. So I'm going to get into a 4-point position. Spine is neutral. My shoulders and hips are relatively in line. My shoulders are usually going to be a little bit higher than my hips in general. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this left hand and I'm going to just try to rotate through my middle body. So I'm not using my arm to do this. I'm using my spine. I'm using the muscles in my middle back to rotate my body upwards as best as possible. Now I'm going to show you on a side view what I'm doing. So once again, 4-point position, hand behind the head, using my middle back. I'm going to try to rotate my body upwards. Now, in a perfect world, my elbow would almost be perpendicular with the wall or the ceiling. So my elbow should be pointing all the way up. As you notice, it's probably 60-70% there. It's not quite there. So I still got some work I could do as well. Right side, a little bit more limited. What you're going to do with these, just slow repetitions, 5 to 10. And then you can do 2 rounds. I do this prior to your workout. And then the last strategy here. You're going to use a bench for this. PVC pipe's perfect because it helps you to line your arms up in a perfect parallel position. So find a bench or a box that can accommodate this. You want to have your elbows flat and your palms up holding the bar. And what you're going to do from here is you're going to try to lower your head down past your elbows, while still holding onto the bar. And I'm using my chair at home, so it's not quite ideal because it's moving, but you get the idea. You see all that extension I'm getting through that middle back as I'm letting my head plunge through. Again, 10 to 15 repetitions. Prior to workout, I would do 2 rounds of that. So there's some great beginning things I would try to incorporate in your workouts. You can do all of them. It's going to be time consuming. So I would just try to shoot for 4 of these, do 2 of the squats and then 2 of the thoracic, and then just alternate them throughout each day. I would definitely do these every day before your workouts, and then on your rest day I'd also try to do them at home as well. Any questions, feel free to email me.